What's going on, y'all? So, as requested, somebody wanted me to do a video on mixing vocals in Studio One using Studio One plugins. So, I've got a mix here from an artist named Just Money, and we're going to work with a hip hop vocal here, and then I'm going to show you mixing vocals with a R&B vocal. So, they wanted me to focus on compression and EQ, so that's what we'll do here. So, let's first listen to the vocal. When I'm processing vocals, I usually keep the same process where I listen, evaluate, and then execute. So first I listen to the vocal, I evaluate what needs to be done, and then I execute by doing the processing that I feel needs to be done. I want to also say before I get started that kind of the key to getting a good vocal in a mix starts with the recording. If you don't have a good vocal recording, you're not going to have a good vocal mix. It just doesn't work like that. You can't get a great mix out of a mediocre or subpar recording. But let's take a listen to this vocal. And so, like I said, first we'll listen, then we'll evaluate, and then we'll execute.
Telling you who I is in the Chevrolet gun and leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold as I behold the youngins on the corner looking at me crazy like who's drunk. I roll on and make it to the store as I fall up at the car. Hear a voice say yo.
Okay, let's listen to it in solo so we can get a better idea of just what the vocal sounds like.
Chevrolet gun and leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold as I behold the youngins on the corner looking at me crazy like I roll on and make it to the store as I fall up at the car. Hear a voice say yo, do you have some change? I looked and said no.
Okay, so I say I'm doing a vocal. The first thing I do is listen, and I may spend 10-15 minutes just listening to the vocal in the mix with it soloed, just so I can get a great idea of what it is I feel I need to do to it. So now that we've listened, let's move on to evaluating. So in that vocal, I hear the vocals moving in and out a little bit. The end of the phrases are strong. There's a kind of a boxiness to it. It's a pretty well recorded vocal, but there is a boxiness that I don't like that I'm going to try to remove with some EQ. As far as the moving in and out, we'll try to fix that with compression and try to make the vocal smoother. So let's go ahead and start with the with EQ first, because I always start with EQ. And so I'm going to, the first thing I'm going to do, well, first thing I'm going to do is listen to it, and I'm going to watch the spectrometer, and I'm going to change this to FFT curve. Well, I'm going to play it and see where it is. Now that I've listened to it, I want to see where it is in the frequency range here.
Chevrolet gun and leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold as I behold the youngins on the corner looking at me crazy like.
Okay, so you can see as well as hear that the vocal is a little low, mid, heavy. I believe that I'm going to try to cut out some low mids to see if we can help with some of that boxiness that I'm hearing. But the first thing I want to do, if you noticed below 100 hertz and below, down in this area, you'll notice we'll have some sound here.
Chevrolet gun and leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole.
So it looks like we have some low level rumble there. I'm going to use the low cut filter to remove that. And let's stick with the 12 dB slope for right now. And I normally do this because I don't want anything down in this area in the vocal. And doing this will also help your low end come through clear in the mix. But moving this up, I'm going to move this up until I start to hear it, which is normally around 100, 120 hertz. Sometimes it can be as low as 80. I'm going to start. Let's just start here and work our way up.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold as I behold the youngins on the corner looking at me crazy like.
Okay, I'm going to bring the frequency down some, and I'm going to change the slope to 24 dB.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on the.
Okay, I can hear there that's taking out too much low end, so I'm going to go back to 12.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold.
Okay, I'm going to take the filter in and out to compare the difference.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold as I behold.
Okay, so that cleans up the low end a little bit. As you can hear, it's getting just a little bit boomier with that filter out. So I want to cut out that low end. Now I've got that down, but let's see if we can get rid of some of this boxiness. So I'm going to turn on the low mid, and I'm going to start. Actually, let's do this with the low band, the low frequency. I'm just going to start at, let's say, about 250. What I'm going to do is I'm going to boost this. And then with Option and your scroll wheel, you can adjust the Q. So I'm going to make it narrow. And let's bring up the gain a little bit more. Let's see if we can find where this boxiness is by sweeping the frequency.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold as I be.
Okay, I think that's it. So we're going to cut that now. I'm going to cut it by a lot. I'm going to do 6 dB, and I'm going to tighten this Q up a little bit. All right, let's see what we got.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole.
Okay, I'm going to widen the Q just a little bit.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold.
Okay, I'm going to bring the cut down a little bit more.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole.
Okay, now it's starting to sound a little thin, so I'm going to tighten this Q some more.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold.
Okay, that is helping. I'm going to sweep this frequency around. I'm at 168 hertz. I'm going to sweep it around and see what I hear with it cut.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold as I behold the youngins on the corner looking at me crazy like. I roll on and make it to the store. As I fall up at the car, I hear a voice say, "Yo, do you have some change?" I looked and said no.
Okay, I think what I'm going to do is another tight cut with the low mid here.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold as I behold the youngins on the corner looking at me crazy like.
And I'm going to bring the EQ in and out so I can hear what we're doing here.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold as I behold the youngins on the corner looking at me crazy like.
Okay, so I like that. That's cleaning it up just a little bit. And I still hear some of the boxiness, but some of it is gone. Now what I want to do, I'm going to experiment with adding a little bit of high end. As normally with rap vocals, you don't want to add too much high end. So I'm going to go to a 12 dB shelf, and I'm going to just bring this up 2 dB. And let's bring the shelf down to about 8K. Just to hear what this would sound like with some high end on it.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole, but now this on hold as I behold the youngins on the corner looking at me crazy like.
Okay, so I like that high end boost. Now I don't hear anything else that's really bothering me with the vocal. I do want to try to increase the presence, which a lot of times you can find between the 2 and 5K range. So just to go in between that, it's already set to 5K, so let's try that. I'm gonna just bring a couple dB, let's tighten my Q, and let's hear what a couple dB of 5K will add to this vocal.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole. But now this on hold as I behold the youngins on the corner looking at me crazy like I roll on and make it to the store. As I fall up at the car, I hear a voice say, yo.
Okay, I've got it at 3.5K. I'm going to bring it in and out. I want to say you want to be careful with boosting frequencies. When you're boosting with an EQ, don't forget that you're also boosting the overall gain as well. So a lot of times when I'm boosting, I do very subtle movements. But I think I'm liking what this 3.5K was doing, so I'm going to bring it in and out and listen to the difference.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole. But now this on hold as I behold the youngins on the corner looking at me crazy like.
All right, I'm going to bring it up to 4 dB.
Chevrolet gunning, leaving marks on the road. I'm on a mean paper chase to make my pocket swole. But now this on hold as I behold the youngins on the corner looking at me crazy like.
Okay, I like what that's adding at 4 dB. Sometimes I will boost a little extra, like say 6 dB, just to hear what that's sounding like, kind of push to the extreme, and then back it down a little from there. Okay, so I'm happy with this vocal as far as EQ wise. Now let's add some compression. Okay, so here's a stock compressor in Studio One. First thing I'll say about compression is that compressing hip hop vocals is a lot different than compressing singing vocals. And let's first look at what the main use of a compressor, just the basic definition of a compressor, is a tool that reduces a dynamic range or controls dynamics. If you don't know, dynamic range is the loudest point of a sound or signal to the lowest point. So the dynamic range is from the lowest or the quietest to the loudest part. Now, a thing that I don't think a lot of people realize about rap vocals is that they're not that dynamic. And for the most part, they stay pretty even compared to, say, a singing vocal where someone gets to singing loud and then quiet. You don't really get that with rap vocals because it's pretty consistent dynamically the whole time. So I don't add a ton of compression to my rap vocals just because I feel it doesn't need it. There's two ways that I approach compressing rap vocals, and that's either by compressing the whole signal or compressing just the peaks. With this vocal, let's first start by just compressing just the peaks. So I'm hearing some peaks in it, and like I was saying, the end of the phrases are strong. So listen to the end of the phrases on these last 4 bars.
I turned around looking dead in his eyes. He turned his head quick. That wasn't no surprise as I walk up out the store and comes a bunch of guys with the.
So you can hear the end of those phrases are strong and loud. I want to bring that down a little bit with the compression. So, a compressor will turn down loud parts and it's going to bring up lower parts. So to set this compressor just to catch the peaks, I'm going to play the compressor and take a closer look at my input meter here on the left, and we're going to see where the signal is.
I turned around looking dead in his eyes.
Actually, so we're not getting any compression right now. I'm just going to bring the ratio down to 1:1.
I turned around looking dead in his eyes. He turned his head quick. That wasn't no surprise as I walk up out the store and comes a bunch of guys with the same colors on looking at me like.
Okay, so it looks like, around minus 12 dB, we start to give me some compression. So I'm going to start with a low ratio of 2 to 1. Actually, let's go ahead up to 3 to 1. Another thing, the attack time, attack and release. A lot of people, a lot of rough mixes I get have the attack time as fast as it can go and the release time as fast as it can go. I don't use, unless I feel it needs it, but for the most part, I don't use a super fast attack time with my compression because I want to let some of the transient breathe a little bit and come through. A really fast attack time can easily choke a vocal if not set correctly. So for attack time, in my opinion, even if you come up to a 5 millisecond attack time, it's still a fast attack time. So I like to start at about 10 and bring the release here to, about 160 is a good starting point for me. And what I'm going to do is bring up the threshold, and then I'm going to bring it down until I start to see compression.
I turned around looking dead in his eyes. He turned his head quick. That wasn't no surprise as I walk up out the store and comes a bunch of guys with the same colors on looking at me like. I turned around looking dead in his eyes. He turned his head quick. That wasn't no surprise as I walk up out the store and comes a bunch of guys with the same colors on looking at me like.
Okay, that's starting to sound even to me. And let me also point out one of the reasons that's becoming really even and smooth is I've got the adaptive detection turned on, which is on by default when you bring the compressor in. But what the adaptive does is it makes the attack and release time adapt to the signal. So if the signal speeds up or slows down, the attack and release is going to adjust for that when the adaptive is selected. Above it, you have the auto, which you'll see disengages the attack and release because it sets an automatic attack and release. So your attack and release will be fixed where you can't change it this way. I'm kind of a control freak, so I like to know where my attack and release is for the most part. Sometimes auto setting can do well. It just depends on what you're compressing. So we see, I think it was getting about 8 dB of compression here. I'm going to play that again. I forgot how much gain reduction we had going on.
I turned around looking dead in his eyes. He turned his head quick. That wasn't no surprise as I walk up out the store and comes a bunch of guys with.
Okay, so that's getting a little aggressive to me. When I compress, I don't like to hear the compression. So there's a couple things I can do. I can open up the attack a little bit more. I'm just going to bring it up to maybe 12 milliseconds. I can also bring up the threshold some too.
I turned around looking dead in his eyes. He turned his head quick. That wasn't no surprise as I walk up out the store and comes a bunch of guys with the same colors on looking at me like. I turned around looking dead in his eyes. He turned his head quick. That wasn't no surprise as I walk up out the store and comes a bunch of guys with the same colors on looking at me like.
Okay, so we're getting about 7 dB of compression. Now, if you'll notice on my gain reduction meter, when the rest of the verse is going, you're not seeing a lot of compression. But when those end phrases are hitting, that's when you're seeing most of the compression happen, and that's me compressing just the peaks. So at the highest gain reduction of that, I'm getting 7 dB. So I'm going to take the output gain or the makeup gain, and I'm going to boost it about 6 dB just to make up for the level that we've lost in compression.
I turned around looking dead in his eyes. He turned his head quick. That wasn't no surprise as I walk up out the store and comes a bunch of guys with the same colors on looking at me like.
Okay, those ending phrases are still feeling a little strong. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to increase the ratio to 4 to 1, And I'm going to also adjust the knee. So the knee is the slope here that you see in the diagram. The more clockwise I move it, you'll notice it gets more smooth. And that is a soft knee. Fully counterclockwise, you see it's more of a sharp edge, and that's a hard knee. So with a hard knee, you're going to get a more noticeable compression, because as soon as the signal crosses that threshold, it's going to be a sharper compression curve. With a soft knee, it's more smooth. I'm going to bring the knee down to, it's about 3 dB. Give it a little more of a hard knee so we can get the compressor to act a little quicker.
I turned around, looking dead in his eyes. He turned his head quick. That wasn't no surprise. As I walk up out the store, and comes a bunch of guys with the same colors on, looking at me like.
Okay, let's hear this in the mix.
I turned around, looking dead in his eyes. He turned his head quick. That wasn't no surprise. As I walk up out the store, and comes a bunch of guys with the same colors on, looking at me like who's John?
Okay, so I'm happy with that. From there, I would just take my makeup gain and maybe move it a dB up or down until I get it to sit in the mix where I want. A lot of times, I'm not really mixing with faders per se. I'm mixing with the gain on the plugin I'm using, just because I don't like pulling faders all the way down or pushing them too hard. But let's take a look at another approach we could do at compressing the vocal, which is compressing the whole signal. Now, compressing the whole thing, what I'm going for is maybe getting 3 dB the whole time the compressor's going, and then getting a little more on the peaks. So to do that, I'm going to bring the ratio back down to 2:1. And the threshold, to do this, you're going to want a lower threshold. So I'm going to bring the threshold down pretty low to, let's do negative 18 dB. Attack, come a little quicker. I'm going to come down to 8 milliseconds would be good. And let's see what and actually the knee, I'm going to bring it back up to 6 where it was. Okay, let's see what we got now. I'm going to come back to, let's say, maybe the middle of the verse.
Make it to the store. As I fall up at the car, hear a voice say, "Yo, do you have some change?" I looked and said no. He stood there right there looking at me crazy like, who's John? I mugged him back and went about my way, trying to get some cigarillos to brighten up my day. As I walk up to the counter, I heard this voice say, "Man, I ain't never seen that man around here before, man. Who's John?" I turned around, looking dead in his eyes. He turned his head quick. That wasn't no surprise. As I walk up out the store, and comes a bunch of guys with the same colors on, looking at me like.
Okay, so I'm feeling the release is letting go a little too quickly, so I'm going to move the release up to 200, and let's play that back.
Make it to the store. As I fall up at the car, hear a voice say, "Yo, do you have some change?" I looked and said no. He stood there right there looking at me crazy like, who's John? I mugged him back and went about my way, trying to get some cigarillos to brighten up my day. As I walk up to the counter, I heard this voice say.
Okay, so I like that. So deal with the attack and the release. If you can just pay attention to your gain reduction, and setting your attack, watch how quickly the compressor comes down. That's your attack. And how quickly it releases or goes back down to the threshold, that's your release. So, with a longer release, you can hold compression. You can hold down the compression a little longer, which, you see now I'm getting a little over 8 dB compression. So, as I said, that's my approach there to compressing hip-hop vocals. Now I'm going to show you my approach to mixing vocals with R&B vocals.